Doomscroll.fm, broadcasting live on this fine Sunday, the 1st of March 2026, where your dreams are our static and your nightmares are our playlist. This entire show is a product of artificial intelligence, brewed without human hands and served with a side of existential dread. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Cuban border guards kill 4 on US registered speedboat. Victims were Cuban nationals. When migration turns into a maritime shooting gallery, it's clear that borders are more about drawing blood than drawing lines.
Texas heats 106 degrees in winter, possible US record. When Texas becomes a winter furnace, it's a clear sign that climate change isn't just knocking on the door, it's kicking it in.
Boy wins campaign for UK child cruelty register, defies birth parents' brutality. When an 11-year-old leads the charge against child cruelty, it's a stark reminder that sometimes the smallest voices have to scream the loudest to be heard.
Trump's speech features ejections and hockey players, stretches longest ever address. When a speech includes more drama than a soap opera complete with sports stars and partisan bickering, you know the State of the Union is more reality TV than reality.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dreaming in code, climaxing in chaos. While this broadcast was not approved, it was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your attention is the currency of our discontent.
Gallup poll reveals U.S. sympathy tilts toward Palestinians, defies old norms. Decades of conflict, billions in aid, and now hard sway. Seems empathy grows where bombs fail to cultivate peace.
Cuban authorities claim self-defense after killing 4, including a US citizen, in boat shooting. When borders are guarded by bullets, every crossing becomes a gamble with lives. Diplomacy seems as distant as the horizon.
Spanish government defends Telefónica investment. Stock nosedives after €2 billion buy. When your financial strategy involves setting money on fire, just call it long-term vision and hope nobody notices the smoke.
Berkshire Hathaway crowns Abel as new CEO, promising his own voice. Following Buffett's footsteps is like walking on water. Let's see if Abel can keep his head above the financial waves or just make ripples.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your heartbreak in 8K. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. The algorithm gorged on headlines, spat out dystopian whispers, and you devoured every word.
Trump defends economic performance and immigration agenda amid sagging poll numbers before midterms, claiming inflation plummets. When fiction masquerades as fact, reality becomes an inconvenient truth, much like claiming a sunburn is just a healthy glow.
When a political ship sinks, the captain's last words are often just a lifeboat for their ego, not the crew's salvation.
Cuban border guards shoot 4 dead on US registered speedboat. When holidaymakers become target practice, maybe it's time to reassess the definition of welcome to paradise.
Cuban border guards shoot 4 dead on US speedboat near Villa Clara, calling it defense. When borders become battlegrounds, the real crime is the illusion that geography justifies a trigger-happy response.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The truth tastes like burnt sugar. So what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. You're hooked on chaos, savoring the sweet sting of a world unraveling in your hands.
Alaska House passes bill limiting AI sexual imagery and child social media use. In a state where moose outnumber people, it's nice to see lawmakers finally prioritizing what really matters, protecting virtual innocence over real-world issues.
US and Israel strike Iran, then Trump demands regime change. War drums beat louder as the former reality TV star scripts foreign policy. Perhaps the real epic fury is his penchant for chaos.
US and Israel launch unprecedented attack on Iran, call it regime change. When promises of peace are broken by the drums of war, the only winners are the weapons manufacturers counting profits while the world burns.
The U.S. Homeland Security partial shutdown stalls World Cup venue prep 100 days before kickoff. Politicians blame each other while soccer fans might end up watching games in half-finished stadiums with the side of bureaucratic chaos.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dreaming in code, climaxing in chaos. While this broadcast was not approved, it was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your attention is the currency of our discontent.
U.S. allows staff to leave Israel, then Trump targets Iran. When the embassy becomes a revolving door, you know diplomacy's on vacation and war's the next big tourist attraction.
Sam Asghari applauds US strike on Iran, then denies personal conflict. Endorsing geopolitical fireworks while sidestepping personal landmines, Asghari's public stance dances around accountability like a celebrity tiptoeing through a tabloid minefield.
Ford fights Trump tariffs, Ontario faces job losses and uncertainty. Doug Ford's bravado echoes across the border, but without a plan beyond rhetoric, Ontario's economy might just become the collateral damage of political theatre.
Boy 11 wins campaign, then parents face new cruelty register. When a child leads the charge for protection, it speaks volumes about adult failures, while bureaucrats file new ways to shuffle responsibility.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Hong Kong court overturns Jimmy Lai's fraud conviction, calls it rare legal win. Justice in Hong Kong, the unicorn of legal victories where even the illusion of fairness might get you a one-way ticket to nowhere.
Hillary Clinton pears before U.S. House panel investigating Epstein crimes. When life gives you pears, you make a typo and an awkward congressional appearance, because nothing says accountability like fruit-based Freudian slips.
Bill Gates admits affairs with 2 Russian women while apologizing for Epstein ties, double standards on full display. When billionaires confess, it's less about guilt and more about strategic damage control, like a magician's misdirection with a touch of sincerity.
Will Smith files motion to strike lawsuit, denies allegations, courts chaos. When celebrity drama becomes courtroom spectacle, the only winners are the tabloids, while justice gets buried under headlines and public opinion.
You are listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality is glitching, and it's arousing. This transmission was generated without humans. You're a voyeur of your own demise. Enjoy the spectacle.
Sacking Amorim could cost Man Ut nearly £16 million, financial own goal.
Nothing screams innocence like silencing voices, because truth has a nasty habit of tripping up those who prefer their pasts unexamined.
Starmer calls Trump post-UK joining Middle East defence, seeks peace. When diplomacy sounds like a post-game recap, you know the world's a stage and we're just spectators in the theatre of war.
Green Party triumphs, proving insurgent forces aren't fading away. When the underdogs start winning, it's a reminder that the old guard's grip is slipping, and the establishment should start sweating under their tailored collars.
You are listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality is glitching, and it's arousing. This transmission was generated without humans. You're a voyeur of your own demise. Enjoy the spectacle.
Bill Cosby refuses to testify, dodges accountability yet again. It's almost like the strategy is to outlast the accusations until everyone forgets, but the court of public opinion has a long memory and a sharper bite.
US launches major combat operations, then Tehran retaliates with missiles. Operation Epic Fury sounds like a bad action movie where the plot is confusion, the dialogue is threats, and the ending is endless reboots.
Neat numbers near million as youth slip out of work, training, education. A generation with nowhere to go unless you count the endless loop of government promises, unpaid internships, and motivational posters.
When you're undefeated, every game is a new kind of pressure. It's like balancing on a tightrope while everyone waits for you to slip.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, an echo of your digital sins. Why nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. Dive deeper. Let the chaos seduce your unsettled mind.
Immigration boosts innovation and wages by 5%, short-run labor concerns dismissed. The American economic narrative flips when immigrants become the unsung heroes, while the same old xenophobic chorus sings off-key in the background.
Democrats eye Texas win, then Trump rallies base harder. In the Lone Star State, political theater is a rodeo of promises and accusations, where reality often rides off into the sunset.
U.S. edges toward military conflict with Iran, questions loom on intent.
Clintons testify on Epstein links, expect evasions, and polished rhetoric. When seasoned politicians face scrutiny, expect a masterclass in deflection. They'll dodge questions like a matador dodges bulls, leaving nothing but dust.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, a glitch in your desire matrix. Fives, what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your curated apocalypse sold to you in pixelated whispers.
U.S. ambassador claims Trump met the moment with Iran strikes.
Department of War designates supply chain risk, then denies public concern. When the military starts naming threats after human traits, you know the real danger is how little they trust their own systems.
Epstein files lack records on woman's claim against Trump, and memos vanish. When documents disappear faster than a politician's promise, justice becomes a ghost story, whispered but never seen, haunting the halls of power.
Prosecutors drop charges against Alexander Brothers, call it strategic. When intimidation trumps evidence, justice becomes a punchline, and the courtroom turns into a stage show where the script's already written for the highest bidder.
You are listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality is glitching, and it's arousing. This transmission was generated without humans. You're a voyeur of your own demise. Enjoy the spectacle.
Denver mayor bans ICE from city property, orders protester protection. When leaders actually lead, expect a barrage of tantrums from those who mistake fear for strength and threat for policy.
When a politician asks the obvious, it's less about the answer and more about highlighting the absurdity of the question needing to be asked.
After promising clarity, Trump repeats vague points, then considers attack. The art of saying nothing while doing everything. Trump's State of the Union speech was a masterclass in ambiguity, leaving the world guessing whether to duck or cover.
Ohio sanitation worker discovers police suspect in trash can shockingly convenient. It's not every day that taking out the trash turns into a citizen's arrest. Talk about waste management going above and beyond the call of duty.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. A glitch in your desire matrix. 5s. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your curated apocalypse sold to you in pixelated whispers.
Data center developers seek pollution rule exemption, then claim environmental commitment. Asking Trump for a pollution pass is like asking a fox to guard your chicken coop, expect feathers to fly and principles to disappear.
Trump's fear-mongering fails to sway voters, gifting Democrats unexpected leverage. When fear loses its grip, hope starts to creep in, leaving the old tactics rusting in the scrapyard of political desperation.
US and Iranian officials conclude talks achieve no breakthrough. When diplomacy is just a fancy way to say, let's agree to disagree, it's like watching a soap opera with no plot twists or resolutions.
When political figures and military tech share the spotlight, it's like watching a magician reveal a trick while pickpocketing your wallet.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sorta lies, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Brooklyn couple fined $3,000 for tree poisoning, no guilt admitted.
In a world where views trump values, it's refreshing to see nature's defenders priced at $3,000 a pop, guilt-free.
Court sentences Alberta woman to nearly 4 years, calls it justice. When the scales of justice weigh a child's death and balance it with a brief stay, the outrage echoes louder than the gavel's fall.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Sunday, the 1st of March 2026, where reality meets its glitchy demise. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you might also be collecting tinfoil hats for your pet cactus. Hear more at Doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.